With the flick of her pen, she writes. Welcome, friends. Welcome to this audiobook series for my new book, Starstruck. It's called Pinky and Meggy, Starstruck. This is from my Bringers of the Light Oakwood series. I have quite a few others out there. All my ebooks are free to read. This will be my 16th book that I've published. I also have a nonfiction book, Eat Like a Lemurian, if you so desire. And you know, what I like to do with these is, depending on when you come to this playlist on YouTube or the podcast, if the ebook is already out, which as I'm recording this, it's EBOOKS, February 1st, 2026, and I plan to release the ebook right around the spring equinox, mid-March time frame. But since this is timeless and these stick around for a while, you know, what you could do is the links to everything I talk about are always in the show notes. If you want to have a little bit more fun, you could go download the ebook from anywhere ebooks are at. I put the link to my Smashwords publisher, but you can always go to Apple Books, Google Books, Barnes & Nobles, download the ebook, and you could just play along and follow along with the audiobook. Now, the thing that is not in the audiobook, and it's a surprise if you download the ebook, is this is the first time I'll be putting scavenger hunt in a book. We've done many scavenger hunts at TLC for the Soul on the channel over the years. This will be I don't even know how many years we've been doing TLC for the Soul now on YouTube and the podcast. I think it's 8 or 9 or something like that. But anyway, everyone always loves the scavenger hunts. So I thought I would incorporate them starting into some of the books and see how y'all like them. So I have no idea yet what's going into this one, but by the time you get the ebook, you will know and you can play along. So without further ado, let's take a deep breath together. These are meant to be healing. So I do have to put this little, like an introduction. These are meant to be healing. These stories are all channeled with intention. These are not just made up beings. These are spirit friends who come through and help me write these stories. These are all part of the Bringers of the Light series. That's me, that's you, that's all of us. And there's always the intention when I write all my books that you receive whatever you most need when you come across them. So they're infused with all sorts of magical modalities. And, you know, if you need healing, if you need just to have some fun, if you need to drop into a portal, which portals are heavy duty in my books, falling down into fairy portals and just ordinary reality timeouts. So whatever you most need in this now, as you start to read this book and imbibe the story, let me tell you, whatever you need will come to you. The magic will happen and you will get it. You will get what you most need in this now. So, you know, enter with, I guess, the understanding that your outer reality will shift a little bit as you become part of this story. And so if there's anything that you need, it will become apparent to you as you enter into the sacred temple that in this case is Pinky and Meggy, Starstruck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with chapter 1. We are out in the fairy woods of Oakwood and Shumasha today. And we're starting with Bringers of the Light, Oakwood. It was the night before the weekend, before Halloween, and both Pinky and Meggy had decided to host a Halloween gathering in their house. Now, the house was not any old home. It was enchanted with the light and love of all Bringers of the Light, and both sisters held their magic in high regard as they weaved spells and brewed magical concoctions on the old stove. Their grandmother, Harriet, had given the girls the stove on their 16th birthday, and they had used it ever since. The stove never burned anything and would often enchant the most mundane of recipes, even if the girls forgot to use their magic. "Meggy," Pinky said as she poured a decaf latte drink in her Halloween mug, "what food should we serve at the party?" Meggy was preoccupied with her likes on her Instagram account, and with looking at the profile of Harry Winterbottom. Harry had 150,000 followers, and his latest post was of him skiing in the Alps. Oh, that Harry, Meggy cooed as she hearted the image of him doing a triple backflip somersault off the diving board of some posh swimming club. He can do everything, she sighed. Also knowing a warlock's magic when she saw it. I mean, come on, a triple backflip somersault? Now that's just showing off, Harry. But Meggy knew that his magic was powerful, and she'd been trying to catch his eye with her witty comments on his posts, but so far he had only liked a few of the comments. Meggy, Pinky snapped her fingers in front of her sister. The party! Oh, yeah, Meggy said, coming out of her daydream, where Harry had picked Meggy up in his arms and skied down the side of Mount Washington with her holding them tight around the neck. Chapter 2. It was the morning after the night before. Harry picked up his watch and held his head as his brain literally throbbed. What had happened last night, he tried to recall. Oh yeah, he'd gone to that après-ski party, and then it all became blurry. Someone had given him a drink and a pat on the back, and that's all he recalled. There was that girl he'd started talking to, and then, yeah, he remembered now. Was she still there in his room? He turned to look, but all he saw was one red rose and a note on the pillow next to him. He reached over to take the note and the rose. A thorn pricked his finger. The note, scribbled quickly, said the likes of, quote unquote, "You were great last night, but too bad I've got to leave now. Blah, blah, blah." Harry had read these types of notes so many times. They all had the gist of, "You're so hot, but not really my type." Or "See you again soon, and maybe we'll do it again." But no note had conveyed any feelings of emotion towards him. They only had what? Well, they didn't have what he wanted, which was something that he'd been trying to find for so long now. He guessed that maybe it didn't exist in this world. Maybe that girl of his dreams was only that, a dream and nothing more. His stomach curled inward and he felt woozy all over. Too many drinks and a few smokes and some hot loving. And now what? He would take all day to overcome this hangover. He brushed his fingers through shoulder-length blonde hair and flexed his abs. All the work he'd done on himself had definitely paid off. He'd won all those skiing competitions and become what he thought someone looking for love wanted. He was rich, good-looking, healthy, and overall a good guy. Or was he? Oh boy, another soul-searching day was upon him. He cringed. What he didn't know was that behind the scenes, he was due for an awakening. His guardian guides had been preparing him for his spiritual journey ever since the last eclipse season. They thought he was almost ready now. The only thing missing was the catalyst. Chapter 3. Ice World. Harry packed his bag and decided it was time for a change of scenery. The Alps had been fun, but he was craving a smaller and quieter place. He recalled that his grandparents had a cottage on the Oregon coast in the town of Oakwood. Oakwood was a quirky, and Harry often thought when he went there, place where one could disappear for a while, both literally and figuratively. He recalled that time as a child, where he'd wandered into the forest, and he could have sworn he saw a whole other town with fairies wandering about doing this and that odd magical thing. Yes, Harry thought, coming back from his memory. That was a town he wanted to be in right now. There was the record shop and that cool bookstore with the tinkle bells over the door. Somehow, when those bells jingled, one would lose all sense of time in that bookshop. Harry would go to all these places and lay low in his grandparents' cottage, which they lovingly had called Winterspoon Gardens, known for the amazing landscape and permaculture design that Harry's grandfather had done on the grounds there. The intricate and sacred geometry of the boxwood hedges and the wildflower gardens amongst the hedgerows and liminal spaces of all the pine and oak trees, that was what Harry was excited for now on this trip. His phone rang, and when he accepted the call from the unknown number, he only heard heavy breathing on the other end of the line. Probably some girl wanting to hook up, he thought, ending the call. There would be plenty of time for that, he thought. Plus the girls in Oakwood were, he recalled, like a chef's kiss. Yes, he had it all planned out. Buy some liquor, fill the kitchen pantry, get his favorite stuff to bring along. Browse the town and the gardens, especially that little forest where he discovered that fairy village. And who knows, maybe meet some hot young girl who would admire his abs or want to hold his strong biceps. Yes, he had it all planned out, or so he thought. As his higher self yet again was driving, unbeknownst to him, angelic beings, his guardian spirits, and his soul were setting him up for an awakening adventure. Let's have some more fun interjecting into humans' lives so that their souls could grow, these higher beings thought to themselves. It was time for a new bringer of the light to be called into action. So that is what we have for you, friends. The first 3 chapters of Starstruck. I hope you will join me as I plan to upload. I think there's 9 uploads total. There's 29 chapters, so we'll be doing one every Wednesday. And if you've already found this after the whole thing has been uploaded, well, then I hope you continue along in the playlist. Play the scavenger hunt through the audiobook and take some ordinary reality timeouts to jump through these magical fairy portals that we love to create here at TLC for the Soul and play along with the magic. We will see you again in the next chapters. Take care.